Start with the big smiles, don't we? Or laughing.
I hope so. Yeah, we could start laughing because if we started frowning, it would send the show in the wrong direction.
For those of you who are tuning in the audio-only version of our podcasts, I believe this is session 7, although that's both video and audio. Care what the session number was. We decided to do something different today in that we are broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, who knows, Facebook multiple times, because we can. And so we may get comments today, we may get people chiming in, we may get all kinds of nasty, good things.
Yeah, so I can't see the comments. So what that means is that if you all comment, then you're just really talking to Mitch. So you can say anything about me, and I will never know it. So you trash on me all day long, and it won't hurt my feelings whatsoever because I only have one feeling, and that's all that's left.
That's interesting. That's all that's left.
But I'm ready. Let's do it.
Well, Bradley and I, for those of you that don't know, we're really fun. We're really engaging, and we have a lot of fun, and it takes us about 30 minutes just to get ready because we're having all this chit-chat in the background.
Yeah. And that was self-promotion by Mitch. He thinks he's funny. He thinks he's engaging.
Well, I am a wounded bird right now because I was just dumped. No, I shouldn't be. The show that I was doing for that unnamed vendor up there.
Yeah.
Was just closed yesterday, so I'm now a free bird.
Unnamed.
Should I play Freebird now?
Yeah, maybe. All right.
Anyway, I would not possibly be that ready in order to say something like that. So anyway, if y'all are out there, if anybody's watching, I see one person has tuned in. Yeah. I get to see a counter too, by the way, to see how many people are watching.
That's awesome.
The
good news is if you just tuned in, you found us by happenstance because it's not scheduled. It wasn't an original sort of planned thought here. I mean, just okay, let's do this. Let's see what happens. And maybe what we'll do is we'll actually have a very regular schedule, depending on the interaction that we get. Maybe we'll have a regular schedule where people can jump in and ask questions or make fun of us or throw things at the screen. Do anything they want to do.
I will censor you if you get nasty, however.
Oh, come on.
Just be ready.
On.
Oh, I have had people on Twitch because I am an older white gentleman, and I have when I've done streams on Twitch, I have had young people come in and do some of these meme jokey things, and I'm like, I got no clue.
Yeah.
So I've done some. My daughter's like, did you know what you just said? And I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, you're like,
oh, there you go.
Not so good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man. So what are we going to talk about today, Mitch? While people are here, we shouldn't waste their time. We shouldn't bore them to death with our funny stories.
Testing. 1, 2,
testing. Let's talk about testing. When you say testing, what do you mean?
Well, first of all, people that are listening, watching, loving our show need to know that I have a background of 32 years of software development with Boeing / McDonnell Douglas. And in software development, as you know, there is testing. In order to put software out, you have to test it. And so my passion for testing is probably a little different than most people. Especially when most people just make the assumption that, like Apple, it will just work.
Yeah.
And so I have made quite a bit of money on the backside of people coming to me and going, hey, Mitch, I built this up viral campaign and the points aren't coming through. Or These
People aren't signing up.
And what'd you say? I'm sorry, I talked over you.
I said people aren't signing up.
Yeah.
I don't understand. They're all coming to the page. Nope, there's no signups.
And the one, for example, that I'm sorry, I'm talking on you again.
That's right.
The one example that's very prevalent in my mind was the review that I did a couple of weeks ago on that show, where this wonderful young lady launched her campaign with 3 pages.
Right.
And I'm like, if you did any testing, you would have seen, at least if you take, the other problem is people don't take off their hat, right? That they know absolutely everything about the campaign. So when they look at it, they go, yeah, that's what I thought it should do. And in her case, everybody else that looked at it went, huh?
Right.
So I am a passionate man about testing.
So when you think this, it's really fascinating because I over here on my screen I put a little list of things that I think would be great to have a conversation about in testing, and the mechanics of the campaign are not on my list.
See,
and that's because the way I'm wired, right? And maybe that's the appreciation that I have for other people who are skilled at this. You're worried about sort of user experience and making sure that the mechanics are all tied together. That when you click on this link, it actually goes someplace. When you fill in a form and you push OK, it actually populates the list. When you and it redirects you to the right page. All those kinds of things. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the campaign already works, right? Now what do we have to do? What things need to be tested? And it has everything to do with the words on the page, layouts, and that kind of stuff. But also, what are we offering? What is behind all of this? What are people looking to crawl through broken glass to go get? And so I'm fascinated by it. So let's start with the mechanics to make sure that we have a campaign that works. And then let's talk about a few of the topics that I have that might help those folks that are watching or listening. And if you are watching or listening and you have some specific questions, or you don't believe us, or you just want to sound off and say something nasty, that's fine too. Just pop it in the chat, and we'll figure it out. We'll know what's going on. But for those of you who were not part of the show when we first started, understand that I can't see the comments. So if you want to say something really bad about me, or you want to make fun of me, feel free. I'm good at that.
Nobody would ever do that, Bradley, because
I'm not sure.
Valuable asset.
I'm not sure it could happen. It could happen.
People say nasty things about me, but it just goes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so full of myself, it doesn't matter. Just kidding.
That's okay. It is okay.
So on the mechanics side of things, how do you start? And do you have a checklist, or how does that work for you?
I actually do have a checklist that I have developed over the last couple of years, and for $250, you can. I'm kidding. But I do actually offer it to people. It is a ClickUp campaign. I don't know, project. I don't know if you've ever used ClickUp, but it's one of those task tools. And long story short, I picked it because you can restrict people from getting access to things. Whereas if you do it in Asana, everybody can. Anyway. But over the years, and that's because of my software development background, I definitely want a checklist. And I often ignore it. Because
you use it enough, it's sort of habitual, right?
Yeah, it becomes internal, but it is for newbies definitely something that they need to implement. And part of the biggest struggle I've ever had with the process of testing is that clients don't like to do it. They want me to do it. And,
for sure.
I want them to go through the testing process because I want them to understand how the campaign works, because we still come back and go, they don't understand a lot of the features, a lot of the reasons why we're doing things, and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to go down that path necessarily. Well, but if they don't understand the process.
But hold on, there's a lesson in there. This is actually an interesting thing that you just said, right? You said that the client doesn't care about how it works or what the experience is. They just want it to work.
Right.
And I think that's something that we should, as entrepreneurs, remember, especially when we're creating offers. We spend so much time wanting our customers to care about how it works. They don't. They just want to, it's like getting in a car. They want to get in a car, start it up, get to the grocery store, get back. They don't care how it works, just as long as it keeps working. Right? So if you're providing services, that's awesome. To know that they don't care. And yes, you're going to do it for them. It'll be all right.
Yes, but I do think when I have had clients reach out to me, that has always been one of the very first things that I force them to do, and that is to understand the process. And often they don't like it because it is. I mean, it is a very different process than what they are used to.
Right? For sure. Yeah.
When they get to the thank you page and you are asking people to share this,
right.
Most of the people make the assumption that, oh, well, everybody's just going to share it. 100% of the people are going to share it.
Right.
And what they don't realize is, number one, people aren't used to sharing. Number two, if it's not an attractive enough offer, they're not going to share it. If it's embarrassing, they're not going to share it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of reasons why they aren't going to do that. But
sure.
Because of the marketing of these tools, whether it's UpViral or anybody else, they all make it sound like, hey, you create a campaign and poof, it's going to go around the world and you're going to bring in millions of leads and buy a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't understand that process, and I like the example, I preach like crazy. It's a 2-page process. There's an opt-in page and a thank you page.
Right.
The young lady that I was talking about at the beginning said, "Oh, I could just do 3 pages. That's fine.
Yeah, why not?
That's what ClickFunnels tells me to do, right? All the funnel tools say, make it a 5-page process.
That's right.
But if you're using
upsells, downsells, crazy offers,
right.
for sure.
You gotta know where to squeeze it in. Yes, not UpViral. And most of the tools, I mean, we talk about UpViral all the time, but all of the tools, I mean, Gleam is a 1-page process, right? It flips things around, you opt in, and then a whole bunch of new stuff shows up, but it's all on the same page. Little widget thing happens, and so most of the tools are very similar.
Yep.
But it just always slayed me when the client says, I don't care how it works, just do it.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting. Not to get too far off topic. So for people who are watching, Mitch and I have been doing this for a little while. We talk pretty regularly. We have over the last few years, and we go off topic all the time. So there has to be like a big hook to bring us back. Not to get too far off topic. What we're talking about is a subset of maybe a whole host of other funnels, right? We have one funnel, and the option, what the goal of that funnel is to get a lead. Right. And then you introduce the people who came through as a lead to another funnel, whether it's through email or messenger or text message or some other way to promote them to get into another funnel, and that funnel is the funnel for them to be able to buy stuff and go further and sort of build on their relationship with you over time. But that is not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how to capture the lead.
Right.
And
even this is what people don't test, the physical mechanics side of it, which scares me.
So on the physical mechanics side of things, let me just sort of jump through the hoops in my own mind, and you tell me what I'm missing. So the mechanics of does the opt-in page actually display the URL that you think it's going to display at?
Right.
When you put in your information, does it make it onto a list? From there, the list can be internal into the tool, but it can also be external into your own email marketing system. Does it make it into that?
Right.
Do the follow-up messages come from that outside system? when they get to the thank you page, is it displaying the right elements for them to be able to share and incentivize that sharing? And when they do share, that the points or chances to win make it onto their account.
Right.
What did I miss in there?
Well, one of the biggest things that people miss in that, you covered most of the things. Obviously, there's look and feel issues. Like, does the social share message attract people, and all those kind of things, which is stuff you want to talk about. Split testing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But the mechanical thing that most people seem to miss in testing is the referral part. So if Betty Lou signs up for the campaign and she shares it on Facebook, and Paula comes in through that social share and signs in, does Betty Lou get the points that she's supposed to get for referring somebody?
Yeah.
And that's actually the biggest struggle I've seen, is because people don't test that part. When they put the campaign out, they start getting emails going, well, I know Betty or Paula signed up, but I didn't get the points for that. And often what happens is they've used their own tool builder and messed up the whole process. But go ahead.
Yeah, and the other thing on the points, though, it's really interesting. But we get a lot of you maybe. I don't want to word mouth. I know I get a lot of questions about what do the points mean. I mean, we're at a screen in which we can say, there's so many points for somebody being sharing it, somebody coming in as a lead. What does that really mean? And if they don't test it themselves, they're actually not going to see how the math adds up.
Right.
And so they'll just arbitrarily put in points, and it will behave in a way they didn't want it to. Right? They'll give a whole bunch of people all kinds of points for sharing it, and like 0 points or 1 point for the actual lead that comes in off of their referral.
Exactly.
This doesn't make any sense. They shared it like crazy. They win the prize, but I got no extra leads.
Right. And you gotta. That's part of the understanding part, right? The process.
Yeah.
Because, when I was talking about the clients are going to get emails. If you're doing it for clients, if you're doing it for yourself, you are going to get emails that say, hey, I didn't get the right number of points. And if you don't train the client, they're not going to know how to answer those emails. And so that's why it becomes very critical that they understand that part of the process. But like you said, they have to understand, and it's surprisingly, I don't know what the right word is. It's surprising to me that people that use a tool like this don't understand that the primary way of getting new leads is to offer a big number of points. Like you said, they don't understand. They shove 0 or 1 or something in there. When all the other points they can only earn one time, and yet the referrals they can earn unlimited times, and that's where the glory is for them and for you.
Right. Yeah.
And
for sure.
There is that education struggle on this. But the process, I think, of walking people through it and actually doing it, because you can teach them all you want, but until they do it, the light bulb still doesn't necessarily go off.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say the client, if you're doing this for a client or yourself, you need to go through it. You need to take off your hat of, I know what the hell this is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And look at it as a user that is just coming in, cold traffic. What are they going to see? And how does it work?
Yeah. Yep. One of the things that I've been hung up on before is I'm all anxious to get the campaign moving forward and the mechanics of it. And I will forget that there is a time required to adopt a unique domain that I might want to use for my campaign, especially with like an viral tool where they give you an SSL certificate and everything else. It takes time for all that to happen. And sometimes I don't plan for that, and it doesn't seem to be working when I want it to. And then I have to change horses for one reason or another, or if it's not working, I have to get a hold of somebody with support, and then I could be a couple or 3 days into it before I hear back from anyone, or they've solved the problem. And not to badmouth support. It's just that they're working with 1,000 other people, and my campaign's not their highest priority.
Right.
So.
And then they usually launch on the weekend, right? So support ain't there on the weekend. So
that's right. That's right. Everyone else has the weekend off. Entrepreneurs are just banging away at their keyboard in the middle of the night or on the weekends or whatever. So
and yes, people leave that till the very end, the custom domain kind of thing. And I will applaud UpViral, at least because I've paid attention to that. They, on the custom domain thing, tell you now to allow 48 hours because they've had so many support requests on that particular topic.
Yep.
And in some of their documentation, they even tell you at the beginning of creation of a campaign, go do that now because it's going to come into play. So, and bravo to you for remembering that part because it is a big problem for many people.
Yeah. So if you're watching and you have comments about things that you have forgotten or that didn't seem to work like they were supposed to, and we didn't chat about it, I'd love to see what it is that you have struggled with, or the aha moments that sort of they're somewhat frustrating, they're kind of embarrassing. But if you want to help your fellow man here, pop it in the chat, and it'll flag it so other people don't have to learn the lesson the hard way. So.
Great. So tell me some. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what other than those items and mechanics, do you have anything else, or do you want to try to jump over this list that I have?
Let's go to your list. We pretty well covered that. We don't have to give an extreme training on.
No, not at all. No, not at all. So, what's interesting to me is you have credited me with this funny saying of people have to be anxious enough or excited enough to be willing to crawl through broken glass to go get an offer. And there's a little bit of a background for that, and that is when we ask people for their email, their name, their address, their phone number, they know that there is something in there's a price to be paid for that. They're going to have to exchange something, and that item that you're exchanging for the intrusive behavior of getting their personal information had better be worth it. When we put in a credit card and our shipping address and all this other stuff, we're doing that because we understand what we're going to get. We're convinced it's the right thing, or at least if it's not the right thing, there's a return policy and we're okay. That's not always the case when we're dealing with stuff that can be free or on the front end of these particular funnels in exchange for a lead. So one of the primary things that I test is the offer. It's interesting, right? So we'll talk about this in another show about how to create the offer. But one of the things that I end up doing is I have a list of problems that I know they need solved. And then next to each one of those, I will come up with multiple solutions for that problem. It's the multiple solutions thing that I'm testing. I'm not testing the problem. The problem is the problem, and it stays the same per campaign. Or all of the words have to change, all the graphics have to change, all that other stuff. I'm not concerned about that. What I am concerned about is here's your problem, here's the solution, and I will put up against one another two solutions to the same problem. When I finally figure out through testing, right, what's the opt-in rate, using very similar language, using very similar layout, which of those two performs better, then I turn off in UpViral or any other campaigns that do split testing, I turn off that option, and then I start working on the other elements, because the offer is so important that it needs, in my view, needs to be the first thing that you test. Not colors on the page, the layout, and all that other hocus pocus.
What?
And for me, it's interesting because oftentimes the offer that I think is not the most interesting will be the most interesting. Right? People like checklists, but they're very simple, but they're really powerful. People like primers. They like free training programs. They like they like a lot of different things that are oftentimes very simple to put together. And I guess that makes the testing a lot easier, but it also makes the results so much more interesting. So, what kinds of offers? When you work with clients, are you asking them to come up with multiple offers, or are you trying to just make the best out of the offer they're willing to give you?
Bless your heart for that question. I said bless your heart.
This is awesome. Okay, so those people who are not living in the United States and certainly don't live in the South. I lived in the South for a while. I know Mitch has lived in the South for a while. Bless your heart is not a compliment. All right? It's not a compliment. I ping him on this every single time because he uses it on me all the time.
And it's one of those things. I'm laughing. I did it somewhat intentionally. I tried to catch myself in the middle of it, but it's a habit. It's
for
something
sure.
that, even though I was born and raised in the South, it did not ever sink into me until it was pointed out to me recently that I do that, and that it's not the connotation that I think it had.
That's all right.
We actually had that conversation out on the front porch yesterday about that phrase. By the way, before I get to that, we have our very first comment.
Oh.
Ta-da! Somebody wants us to buy followers and viewers on their website. The first comment is spam.
Well, hey, look.
No, thank you very much.
We believe, or at least I do. This half of the show believes in free speech. All right. So,
no.
I don't know where Mitch stands on this whole thing about free speech. It's not a political thing. I just want to encourage you. Just keep commenting. Tell us that we don't know what we're talking about. That's fine. Whatever. It's all good. Just as long as Facebook doesn't kick us off or wherever you commented.
I am just not going to share that because I would not urge people to go buy traffic. My experiences.
No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. I mean, that's that. One of the things, you know what? One of these shows we're going to actually talk about purchase traffic. With solo ads or other sort of get rich quick kinds of schemes of buying lists and things like that. I have some horror stories that I would love to tell about, and we can talk about that. So yeah, keep commenting like that. That's great. We'll just keep free speech on this end too, right? Equal opportunity. I'm ready. Let's do
it. What was the question?
So here's the question. One of the primary things I think is important to test is the offer.
Right,
when working with clients, this is different. So right, we have kind of two different audiences. Some that are building their own campaigns, and some that are building campaigns for others. You and I both do both, and it's really interesting for me to kind of see how you do yours. I share how I do mine. And with that, do you ask your clients or work with your clients or demand your clients come up with multiple offers per campaign?
Hi, Freddie. By the way, there's our first comment from a real human. So thank you for commenting, Freddie. We appreciate you being here. I have not forced a client, and a lot of that has to do with my confidence at the time. I mean, I know. I mean, for those that don't know my history, I'm really good at creating campaigns, contests, understanding how the mechanics and the stuff works. But I wasn't born and raised a marketer, and so I'm learning lots of that. It has been difficult because the clients that have come to me are primarily, they have an idea of what their offer is. They want to test that. I have had one client who has been willing to test things, but she did it in a way where we did one complete campaign testing this thing, and we split test a couple of pages with different words and a different video and stuff like that. But the next campaign was different. We did 3 different campaigns for that client, and they were testing the offers that way, by campaign, not by a single campaign with a single offer.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what you're talking about doing. But the other one that I mentioned in the past, where I knew the offer wasn't going to work, they didn't want to change the offer.
Okay.
And so, as a really strong agency marketing expert, I would go back and say, sorry, that's not going to work, because I know that offer is not going to work. But I didn't have the internal chutzpah to go do that.
I think this is one of the reasons why I like the exchange between you and me. You're very linear, very mechanical, very data-driven, and sort of binary in decision-making in a lot of respects, which is awesome because it's part of your trade, it's part of how you got here. And while I am a civil engineer, right, so I'm sort of wired that way too. I grew up in a household with a guy who could sell ice to an Eskimo. And I was behind the cash register at 10 years old. And I understand what kind of the challenge is for the local business owner. And I've watched my folks own multiple businesses throughout their lives. And then I've been doing consulting and other stuff outside of my regular work since the 80s. So marketing is kind of in my blood, and it's interesting how we just approach things different. I'm learning a lot, so I dig it.
I agree.
I dig it.
100%.
I dig it.
Also, one of the reasons why I've been planning to do a podcast for a long time, and I can go like crazy. And like, for example, the show that I used to be on, I'm going to do a new show. Call it call it something different. I don't even maybe like the show word, because I don't know that I'm just behind the glass making whatever. But that was going to be a solo podcast, and it is such an experience being able to talk to, explore things that, and I'm learning like crazy as well. And so hopefully the people that are out there watching are doing the same. Now, you and I decided a long time ago that we were going to do these in 30 minutes or so. We're at 30.
Has it been 30 minutes?
33. And so
that's awesome. So we talked about mechanics, talked about testing the offer. That's right there. Look, if you do both of those, you're going to catch 80% of the problems that you have in your campaign. So I think this is a great place to sort of, wrap it up. How do other people, if they enjoy doing this and enjoy hearing from you and want some feedback from you, or want to get more involved in what you're doing, how do they do it?
The simple thing to do is join my newsletter, which I tried to make some testing changes yesterday. I think it worked. Good. Because golly darn, what do? I use an UpViral campaign, because once you sign up for the newsletter, I encourage you to refer others, and we can talk about how that entire process works later. But instead of just opting in, and I'm going to encourage you to do something, and I think that process now works because it was broken for a while. But if you go to thankyouPageMagic.com, there is an opt-in towards the bottom of that, and you should be able to get on my email list and find out about the wonderful things that I'm going to do, including the new show, whatever I call it, next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And I plan to do those shows every week as my schedule allows, 10 a.m. Eastern on MitchZoom.com.
Awesome. That's cool. So if you're also watching or listening and you want to jump in, and at least right now it's free, I'm doing a masterclass on viral campaigns, how to really take your big idea and get as many of those leads that are white hot and ready to buy from you as possible. The material is almost finished. I'm going to be doing the first episode this weekend, and then it will be a 4-weekend series. You can just send an email to me at bradley@waldropcommunications.com, bradley@waldropcommunications.com, and I will send you information on how to get plugged into that campaign and sign up for it. So,
wait a minute.
Yeah, good stuff.
You mean you can have an offer where you don't have an opt-in page and a sales page?
I'm trying to prove that email, phone calls, writing stuff down all works without having to drive somebody to a very specific URL. Look, there is a URL for the campaign that allows you to sign up for free. I just rather do it in person than send you anonymously to a page someplace.
That's all. Well done, sir. Well done. Landing the plane. Catch us on this channel wherever you found us, and we will be back in another episode.
Yep. All right. Take care, you guys.
And I said that the button worked. It didn't. Bye.